Welcome to Shape of the City. I'm Clover Frederick and I'll be your host. Lincoln is becoming quite a bike city. In the last several years, it's been a neck-and-neck race with Madison, Wisconsin in the National Bicycle Challenge. But that's just one of the biking challenges and activities going on throughout the city starting in May. To find out more about all things bicycling in Lincoln, we have Mike Heyl from the Lincoln-Lancaster County Health Department and Damon Hershey from BicycLincoln. Thank you both for joining us.
Thank you.
Good morning.
All right, let's start with Mike. Now, Mike, biking has really grown in Lincoln over the last 5 years. Tell me more about that. What have been the big developments?
About 5 years ago, the City of Lincoln, after several tries, finally achieved bronze-level bike-friendly designation from the League of American Bicyclists. Currently, there's about 370 communities that have bicycle-friendly status, from bronze to silver to gold to platinum. We were pretty proud in getting that designation because it recognized what Lincoln's done all over the previous history of creating bike trails, bike laws, bike education. About that same time, the Jane Snyder Trails Center and the Antelope Valley Project was being undertaken, which created a hub for all of our trails, which started to make that final connection piece that we really needed to have for the 130 miles of trails that we have. Then StarTran added bike racks on buses. And it went from being, oh look, there's a bus with a bike on it, to today it's, oh look, there's a bus without a bike on it. We're getting to be more used to seeing that amenity available to bikers. Then we created an increase in our bike education. We have a Bike Lincoln page on the city website. We have bike education and safety videos airing on that. We have 21 certified bike educators in town now that go to events like health fairs, bike rodeos. The Kiwanis clubs are still doing their bike rodeos, but it's ultimately kind of culminating in this bicycle challenge. And so that's the most current thing we've got going.
Okay, now May is a big bike month, so tell us what are some of the activities that'll be happening.
May, of course, is the kickoff for the National Bike Challenge, but historically May has always been Bike Month. The first Wednesday in May is always designated as Bike to School Day. And about 5 years ago, we started with just 2 elementary schools, Prescott and Sheridan. Then it became 4 schools, then 8. This year, between late April and mid-May, we'll have 10 elementary schools doing something to celebrate Bike to School Day. It's get more and more kids to be thinking about it, get parents allowing their kids to make that transition from getting dropped off by the car to riding to and from school. We also have National Bike to Work Week in Lincoln. We'll be celebrating it Friday to Friday, May 13th to 20th. This year we're doing something new with the Jane Snyder Trail Center being down about 22nd and Q. There's a new restaurant, cafe, beverage place called the Hub Cafe that's going to partner with us to offer breakfast specials for bike riders the morning of May 13th on their way to work, and then Friday afternoon, May 20th, to have some more snacks and adult beverages for those people riding home from work to close off the week's activities.
That's great. There are a lot of things going on in May.
May's always been a busy month.
That's great. Now, what about the rest of the summer?
The big granddaddy of all the events is Trail Trek. This is the 14th year that the Lincoln Journal-Star has helped to sponsor Trail Trek, which is an event that celebrates our trail system. There'll be 4 different rides, anywhere from 6 miles to 50 miles that people can participate in. Families can bike out to Haymarket Park where the event starts and stops if that's all the ride they want to do. Even if they want to bring their bikes out to Haymarket Park and just ride around that area, they're more than welcome to do so. But this gets somewhere around 1,500 people participating over the course of a day. And it comes the last Sunday in June, which this year is June 26th. And then at the end of summer, the start of fall, on Sunday, September 25th, we will have Trail Trek, which is the 6th annual Cyclovia event. And while it sounds like just a cycling event, it's also open to people to walk, push baby strollers, rollerblade, skateboard. But the city closes 2 miles of streets in the neighborhood and puts displays all along the streets. So as people move through that system of 2 miles, they get to learn more information about how to be more active.
Okay, very good. Now let's switch a little bit and talk about sharing the road. So there's a Share the Road campaign. What's the messaging for that, and who's it aimed at?
Last year, the Lincoln-Lancaster County Health Department received a grant from the Nebraska Department of Health and Human Services to develop a social media and marketing campaign called Share the Road. In an active transportation system, you've got an environment where you go from sidewalk to curb to street to curb to sidewalk on most of our streets. So you have to design a system that accommodates pedestrians, bicyclists, and anybody operating a motor vehicle. This could be motorcycle, car, bus, truck, but the Share the Road campaign was developed to get everyone in that active transportation system realizing that there's more than just them moving around, and how to be more considerate, how to be more safe about moving around. Last fall we started developing a basic message. We're eventually going to develop the message to all three. We have a set of messages developed just at the pedestrian level, one at the bicyclists, and then one at the car drivers. But we aired a series of PSAs, public service announcements, in Marcus theaters for 1 month, just to introduce the concept of Share the Road. Developed a very interesting logo, looks like a traffic sign with all three modes of transportation in it. And this year we'll be expanding that into developing those more specific components of that pedestrian message, the bicycle message, and the motorist message.
Okay. Now, any key messages you want to make sure you get out there to cyclists, from beginners to veterans?
The big things are be predictable. You want to pick a line that you're riding that cars and pedestrians know you're not wavering too much from. That might mean taking the lane, getting out in the road more in the way of the traffic, but that way the motorist sees you. It means following the laws, stopping at stop signs, obeying the traffic lights. Mostly having fun, getting out and enjoying something that most people have been doing since they were kids, but just realizing that they're part of that active transportation system and that they have to share the road.
Very good, thanks. Now let's talk to Damon for a little bit. Now tell me a little bit about what BicycLincoln does.
Well, BicycLincoln is a community group that helps advocate for people on bikes within the city of Lincoln.
Okay. Now, from a cyclist's point of view, how has bicycling in Lincoln changed?
Well, for example, starting to attend the Cycling and Pedestrian Advisory Committee for the City of Lincoln about 6-7 years ago, a lot of the focus was on off-street trail facilities. In the last few years, we've seen a complete reversal, and the real focus is on on-street and education and so on.
Okay. Now, what is the National Bike Challenge, excuse me, and how can riders in Lincoln get started?
Yeah. The National Bike Challenge was something that was started up by the League of American Cyclists. Now it's head up by the peopleforbikes.org. This is a national friendly challenge to encourage cities to get riders out to log miles and kind of have a friendly competition on the national level, but also on a local level. You can have different teams, you can have workplaces competing against each other. You can just go to the National Bike Challenge website and get registered. You can form a team, you can register your workplace. Automatically you'll be registered within the local challenge, which is Lincoln's BicycLincoln Challenge.
Okay. Now, tell me a little about this friendly competition with Madison, Wisconsin.
Well, Madison is a similar sized city. They're a college town with a similar population of Lincoln. They're a little ahead of us as far as like bike friendliness goes. So it's just fun to compete with a city that's that much ahead of us as far as like infrastructure and education and awareness. We beat them once, 1 year. Lincoln has been in the top 3 every year of the challenge. They took that beating pretty seriously. So last year they did come up first. We were in second, but
Okay.
We're gaining for another first place over those Badgers.
Great. Now, why do you love riding, and why should others consider it?
Well, personally, it's the best part of my day. Riding to work, riding from work. If it's a rough day, by the time I get home after the ride, everything's just written off and I'm happy again. It's a way to just stay healthy economically. We can function as a one-car family, so a lot of different reasons, but it's like Mike said earlier, it's fun.
Yeah. Now, what advice do you have for anyone wanting to ride around Lincoln, especially if they're concerned about staying safe?
Honestly, just to start doing it, I mean, be aware of their surroundings, have respect for other road users, and start small, build up your confidence, and just go from there.
Okay, very good. Now back to Mike for just 1 second. Where can our viewers go for more information about bicycling in Lincoln?
The city has developed a BicycLincoln website. It's part of the City of Lincoln web page. You can go to lincoln.ne.gov, and in the search box type in the keyword bike, and that'll take you right to BicycLincoln. It's been developed in cooperation with local bike shops, the planning department, the health department, Park and Recreation, who coordinates all of the maintenance of our trails, urban development, and public works. And on that page you can find maps, you can find resources, you can, we're even playing with how to develop a route where you might want to type in your home address and then a destination, and it'll show you the safest, quickest, easiest way to get from your one destination to the other using the trail system and on-street designated bike routes. We've used it for a lot of our education outreach with the new N Street cycle track opening up. It had a soft opening in December. We had our ribbon cutting in April. Before it was even opened, it was recognized as the #4 cycle track in the country. But on that BicycLincoln page, we've had a video that has had over 3,500 views on just how to use the cycle track safely, how to get on and access it, how to get off, and mostly about the change of signals that's on there. But if you're biking, any interest at all in anything Lincoln bicycling, you can go to that BicycLincoln page and get more.
Okay, very good. Well, thank you both for being here this morning. Appreciate your time. We've learned a lot. Now let's get out there and become the #1 bike city, right?